All right, I'm here today with Joe Lusardi, President and CEO of Curaleaf. Joe, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, Curaleaf is one of the biggest multi-state operator in the U.S. There's a lot to the company, but today we want to focus in on your operations in Florida, really zero in and get an understanding of how you guys are positioning yourselves. Right now, you have 28 dispensaries open. As of the latest weekly data, you had about 10% market share extracts, 9% flower. So I just want to start with a bit of a high-level question. Can you share with investors your strategy in the Florida market, how you guys are thinking about, such a competitive space? How do you grow market share? How do you even maintain market share at this point?
Yeah, we are very optimistic about the Florida market in general. We entered this space a couple years ago through an acquisition of the Costa Nursery in Miami. And we've been aggressively opening stores across the market, recognizing that hundreds of thousands of Floridians are going to come to, cannabis as a viable alternative to whatever they're using today to deal with ailments. The market is adding patients every month. It's a really exciting, fast growth market. We're going to continue to open stores. We've got another, dozen stores in the pipeline, so I suspect we'll get close to 40 stores by the end of the year. The biggest issue, frankly, in Florida is that, the market is supply constrained. We're building capacity as fast as we can to meet the demand. Every time we put a flower in our stores, there's a huge surge in demand, and so we're working very hard to build the supply chain. We moved into a 5-acre Dutch glass greenhouse in the Orlando area last year. That's really starting to come online, and I think by the end of Q1 we'll start to see some very, very meaningful harvest out of that greenhouse. And so we're optimistic that not only can we maintain market share, but probably grow market share in 2020.
Excellent. And so how are you guys, like, how do you guys think about the growth versus profitability? Like, are you valuing gaining a lot of market share ahead of potential adult use legalization, or like, how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can grow profitably. The reality is when you go into a facility of that scale and you have 28 stores, there's obviously a lot of capital and money you got to cover costs over. And so I think that as we gain market share this year and as we serve more customers, I think our margins will improve in Florida and expand even further than they are today. What we're really focused on at the moment is the medical market. I don't believe that Florida is going to do an adult use program anytime soon. I suspect that it will be a couple of years out, but there's a very fast growing medical market, and there are a lot of customers that haven't come through the stores yet. So I think all the operators see the growth yet to come in Florida. We suspect that even at a 3% penetration, you're looking at 600,000 patients. So a doubling of the market over the next 24 months is probably realistic just in the medical format. So we're super optimistic about the market overall.
Yeah, absolutely. The market is growing at a tremendous rate. And so internally, do you guys have goals that you're trying to track, or how do you guys set targets for yourselves? Was it by, gaining a certain market share by a certain amount of time? How do you guys think about that, and what do you guys really push for?
Yeah, I mean, we think about it in terms of four-wall economics per store, and we try to set goals per store to achieve a certain amount of revenue and therefore cover a certain amount of customers per territory. As we've spread out about 28 stores across the state, so I think we're in very strategically placed around the state. And so now it's really, again, about building capacity. Our supply chain needs to catch up with our store footprint. As I said, we're continuously harvesting out of our 5 acres. We're going to build more indoor capacity this year. And so in general, I think that as our business matures in Florida, we'll start to see some significant gains.
Excellent. Are you guys sharing any numbers on the capacity you're hoping to reach as of the end of 2020, or by certain milestones?
Yeah, we are. And so we're in 5 acres. We're building out another about 100,000 square feet of indoor capacity in Orlando. So, we'll be in about 7 acres by the end of the year. That's real. Even the 5 acres that we moved into, we really only started hitting full capacity, this quarter. So we're pretty excited about our growth prospects in the state.
Excellent. And do you guys have how are you guys thinking about the production capacity coming from those 5 acres? Or you have like a grams per square foot that you guys are modeling in?
Yeah, we do. It's a hybrid greenhouse, so we're generally thinking somewhere around 50 grams per square foot would be the yield. And what's interesting about Florida is that although flower is definitely driving a big part of the market, consumers have shown a strong preference for the form factors. So, for example, we launched the first live resin product in Florida. I think at the end of last year, and it's a huge success, huge demand. Of course, with the edibles coming online, we'll continue to put some of that biomass towards new form factors, including chewables and a lot of other form factors. So, we're excited that there are a lot of customers that prefer those form factors that are still out there that will come into our stores once we can make those products by law.
Excellent. Absolutely. Thank you. And for that color. And so just looking at legalization, you mentioned, you see adult use being a couple years away. So that's great color there. But in terms of, there's some bills entering the House. There's been, court challenges around, the possible removal of license caps, which obviously would increase competition, but also removing the vertical integration sort of requirements. Now, if that were to happen, well, one, maybe how do you think about that? Do you think that's likely? And if it were to happen, would you see that as an advantage, being able to sell wholesale, get into more stores, or how are you guys strategizing around that?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. If you look at the East Coast in particular, many of the markets start out as vertical, and then as the market develops, that goes away, and then people start to specialize. I suspect Florida, like all markets, will eventually get there. It's just a question of timing. For us, our business practice is to be vertical because we think it's really important to control our supply chain and make sure that the products that go over our shelves, were grown by us and manufactured by us, so we know exactly what's in there. We would love to exploit a wholesale opportunity in some future scenario. As you're aware, where the close of our Select transaction is imminent, we're going to bring that product to the East Coast, and I think that's a really strong wholesale brand. So, I think a non-vertical scheme in the future could be to our advantage. But at the moment, we're focused on being vertical and making sure our customers get the best possible products that we can make.
Excellent. And to wrap things up, what do you guys see as the biggest Curaleaf specific catalyst on the horizon for the Florida market?
Honestly, our own capacity, where it's a high class problem, but we're supply constrained, and so if we can put more products on the shelves, we're pretty confident we'll sell more. And so we have a lot of talented people working in that grow every day to try to pump out product and get it to our customers.
For sure. And you would, just to follow up, you said Q1 is when you think you'll start to see the benefits from that in terms of the sales numbers?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at the weekly statistics, already we have a pretty decent share of the flower market. But yeah, we're going to start to see even more significant harvest as we get into late Q1 and Q2. So I think that hopefully we'll see those numbers improve. There's clearly a strong demand for flower across the state, and so it's a function of how quickly we can get it out of our greenhouse and on the shelves.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Joe. I appreciate you chatting and shedding light on Curaleaf's Florida strategy.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a good day.